Hello and welcome to Soccer Yanks. I am your host, Dan. Tonight we're without Dave. He is in college. Finals week. Here's to you, Dave. Hope you ace your exams. So, by myself, tonight, I'm going to rant and I'm going to give you the beautiful game from the American perspective. I apologize for having missed, a couple of weeks now. We haven't been good to you guys. We between vacation, school, paying the bills, and conflicting schedules, Dave and I have not been able to mesh and get this podcast off the ground again. But we have not given up. We're just a little bit in flux, but that's why I want to get this out there. I'm not going to go too long because listening to just my voice might drive you mad. It might not. You might enjoy it. I'm talking to myself in an empty room right now, so I obviously enjoy hearing my own voice. So, no further ado. The talk of the town has been Chelsea. For the last couple of weeks, Chelsea's unbeaten. They're going to go unbeaten. No one's going to be able to catch them. They're 8 points clear. They're 9 points clear. They're 12 points clear. Yeah, they're 3 points clear, and they lost to Newcastle. I feel that the best thing that could have happened to Chelsea was this loss. Not because I'm an Arsenal fan and they're not invincible. That's great. That's nice. That's wonderful. I love it. But that really, because now it's taken the pressure off of Mourinho and the players to be perfect. Mourinho says he never planned on going perfect, but who plans on losing matches either? So I'm sure he would have loved to have gone a perfect season. That would have just, his ego, I don't know, he would have to walk sideways to get through doors because his head would be so big at that point that he had a perfect season in the Premier League. But I don't believe that it's one loss. The world is not over for Chelsea. They still have an excellent team. They have very minimal injuries. Top of the table, although it's only 3 points now and City is right behind them. I would say that Chelsea is still the front runner, regardless. Now, just a little thing. Mourinho has a really tough time with Alan Pardew, and Alan Pardew is to Mourinho as what Mourinho is to Wenger, and I like that. I enjoy that. I enjoy that he gets stifled by it. I enjoy it that he's so flabbergasted that he has to blame time wasting with the ball boys. Like Chelsea doesn't waste time. They don't. It's just part of the game. It's just I love it because I'm not sure if he even buys his own stuff or if he knows he's just, that's like his thing. It's just like, I'm going to say random stuff, take the attention off my players, put it on me. I mean, I think that people have rationalized that, but I really do think that sometimes he might be a little nuts. I mean, I think genius and psycho is a very thin line. You could straddle it sometimes, I think. The other thing I keep hearing about is, they're not going to go invincible because the Premier League is a lot harder now than from when Arsenal went, obviously, the comparison. Now, I would say that the Premier League today is more technically gifted than it was in 2004. However, the physicality, and more importantly, the leniency from the referees regarding that physicality was so much more brutal. And I think the only player on Chelsea, and there's maybe a handful left in the Premier League, and John Terry, a leftover of that era really, is the only kind of guy that's built on that Chelsea squad. Maybe Matic, but I don't know. I don't think he's ever been exposed to that kind of play. Maybe Matic, he's kind of built for it, to live in the era of brutality that existed in... It was the waning years of brutality. I know it started to end at that point. Well, not end, but the leniency ended. I just don't see this Chelsea team. I don't see Oscar and Hazard, and maybe Costa could have survived. I think he's a pretty tough guy, but Willian, I mean, a lot of these guys I don't think would have had a chance during that time period. Roy Keane would have ate up those guys. Patrick Vieira would have ate up those guys. I mean, I'm just saying. It's not because I'm an Arsenal fan. Just only a little bit because I'm an Arsenal fan. It's mostly because I'm a realist. Let me check my notes here. Let's see what else I want to rant about. Liverpool. Okay. Liverpool. They have continued to struggle, and at least last year they were very fun to watch. I'm not a Liverpool fan. I wasn't rooting for them. I didn't want to see them succeed, but they were exciting to watch, especially if they weren't playing your team. They were fun. There was some creativity. There was speed. There was this press, this high press that would kill teams in the first half. And now it's just nothing. It's just they're like the Ben Stein of clubs. I mean, they're monotonous. There's no creativity, and I think they might be looking to just make the other team fall asleep and hopefully get a goal past them. It's just, I don't know. Excuse me. Jokes aside, the striker situation at Liverpool is dire. Ricky Lambert is not the answer. I'm not sure what's going on with Barini. Balotelli really needs to get healthy and get in form. And aside from the striker, I think the striker situation, I think the midfield is suffering from just a lack of energy. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure if it's the combination of players that are out there. I'm not sure if there's some injury issues. I don't know if Gerrard's getting too old. But there just seems to be... Liverpool, unfortunately, has regressed much further than I think anyone had anticipated from that dash to the top that they had last year, the very close to winning the league. I don't think that many people had them suffering. Even I had picked them to finish outside the top four, but I didn't think it was going to be in this fashion. I thought it would be a struggle, a fight, a tooth and nail kind of thing. And they're kind of just they're staying alive, but it's not impressive. It's not impressive. 40% of the way through the league, there's definitely opportunity still to move up the table. The cream does rise. The cream does rise. There is a transfer window. Liverpool is... I can't count them out, but I have a tough time counting them in also. So that's where I'm at with that. Arsenal. Okay. So I guess maybe people thought I haven't been podcasting because I didn't want to talk about Arsenal. I've let down my readership because my Arsenal blog has also suffered much worse than the podcast. Actually, it's been I think way over a month since I've written for my blog, and it's not because I have plenty to say, and I'm not worried about saying it, but it's just the same reasons I haven't been podcasting for the most part, but multiplied for the writing aspect. Okay, so they lost 3-2 to Stoke, and 3-2 is flattering. At best, that scoreline could have very easily been 4-1. The Stoke had a goal ruled offside. They had a player that was basically that was shielding the goalie, not shielding the goalie, blocking the goalie's view rather. And I would say most referees would have allowed that goal. I think Arsenal was fortunate to have. I think it was called correct. I think it was called correctly. With my bias or not bias, I mean I think that is a subjective call anyway. Are you or are you not blocking the goalie's view? Are you causing the goalie to react? It's subjective. I think the ref got it right, and it's fortunate. But I think I think those kind of cases often the referee errs on the side of allowing the goal. Because no one made contact on the ball. The shooter, the ball was shot cleanly into the goal, so the goalie couldn't react because I think it was I think we had the young guy in there, Martinez. So that's one goal. The penalty to get Arsenal on their roll in the second half was soft. It was extremely soft. I don't want to say that Arsenal didn't have bad luck on the day. Sanchez hit the post. A lot of bad things. The injury woes, the injury quote-unquote crisis continues. Mertesacker looks like... he was slow. He was always slow, and he was a positional player. He now looks like he is literally cemented into the ground and is dragging his feet out of the ground to try to move. The first goal was a combination of inexperience and lack of speed. And 19 seconds in, and Stoke is already up. And Wenger, Wenger has a couple of places where he doesn't perform well, and at Stoke is one of them. It doesn't matter if it's a cold, wet Tuesday night or what. It's not. It's just it could be beautiful, no wind. All the orcs are at home eating brunch. Doesn't matter. He does not perform there. He made matters worse by sitting the whole time and trying to not feed into the fans. And then they started chanting that he won't even stand up, and it's become almost comical. It's like this vicious cycle. A little scotch to Arsenal. So, I'm very torn as an Arsenal fan. I don't want to see the club lose. Nobody wants to see their club lose. I don't want to see them perform badly. I don't want them to be the laughingstock, even though inadvertently when they're finishing in the top four, they have their moments of being the laughingstock. But unfortunately, the human experience is so unique that without real pain, without real suffering, change is much harder to come about. And I think if Arsenal were to finish 8th, 7th, out of Europa, out of the Champions League, I think that would be enough pain on the club. Maybe it would have to be 2 years in a row. I don't know if it would have to be 2 years or 1 year. But that might be enough pain to change, to shake things up, and to say either, because this is the crux, right? This is the crux. Wenger is not going to quit. Club management is not going to fire Wenger. And unless financially something happens, ownership, i.e., or EG, is it EG? Might be, I think it's EG, whatever. Stan Kroenke is not going to even blink. He's not going to bat an eye if the finances don't change, or if they stay status quo or improve as they have over the years. So that's the crux. That is the part that is so frustrating as a Gooner. You want your club to do better, but you kind of feel that if things don't get shaken up, you're not going to do better. You're going to stay in this rut. I do believe Arsene Wenger in when he says that there's a project, there's a plan, and I do see it. They finally have a big shirt deal. They've gotten past the hurdle. They've gotten a lot of money, and now they've signed 2 world-class players in not consecutive windows, but in two summer windows in a row. They've signed a world-class player. They've added players to the squad. They haven't sold off their best players. They didn't do the best job in the transfer window, but it looks like the trend is we're going to accumulate, a 25, a 30 million euro player per summer window. And we're going to get to the point where we got 4 or 5 players that are all in place, and we're going to make a real push. And I think that's the thing. That's where I think Arsenal fans have to come to grips. We're not going to compete for the title every single year, like, tooth and nail. You're going to be there. You're going to be in it. But I think it's going to be every 3 or 4 years, there's going to be a real push coming. I'm not so certain that the fans, the supporters, I'm not sure. I don't know if I can wait. Is that 3 or 4 years from now? Is that 3 or 4 years from a year ago? I don't know. I don't know if we can. It's very frustrating. So the Champions League win against an awful Galatasaray side was great morale booster, but I think beating Stoke would have been a great morale booster too. So I'm not sure where they are right now. I don't know how much. The thing that worries me the most, aside from the transfer, not filling the squad depth, it just boggles me. But that Arsenal needs to have their back up against the wall for them to get motivated, and I think that right there is a Wenger issue. Why are these players not performing from minute 1? Why does it take them to be down a goal or 2, or in this case this week 3 goals for them to start? Against Galatasaray, okay, they came out of the gates flying, but yeah, because they were embarrassed by Stoke, and there was no pressure. There was no pressure in that match. Galatasaray had been suffering, and Arsenal was essentially, I don't want to say guaranteed, but pretty set on second place. They threw out a lot of the young guys, a lot of the B guys, and they had fun. And when players have fun, they win. I mean, it's you can't. I don't judge much in that. Let's see Newcastle this weekend. Other match last week that caught my eye, but I'm only going to say one thing about it because Dave's not here, and I'm not going to go on a United bashing tour. I'm going to go a little bit. When LVG says that they were the lucky side, you know that United was lucky because LVG does not. He's not one to go and talk about being poor. I don't. He's too much of a mad genius, quote unquote, Dave. They won that one with a pair of dirty drawers. I mean, RVP phenomenal, but I think his name is Forster for Southampton. Somebody out there knows and is yelling and slamming the keyboard right now. You're an idiot. I believe it was Forster. He had two poor challenges on RVP. But I think RVP megged them twice. So the real issue with United is their injury woes. Right now, their defense is basically three piles of twigs and like two paper towel rolls. I mean, it's really bad, the situation they got back there. I know they're sitting in third. They've done well since mid-September or late September. They don't pass the sight test for me. They appear to be punching above their weight, I think. I think they're punching above their weight. I could be wrong. I have been wrong about them. They have punched above their weight for some years and won titles. I don't think that this team is good enough to win a title for sure. I think they need a central defender, and LVG likes to spend money, so the window's going to open soon. Let's see if they can drop another 150 mil. The only other thing from the current week that I want to chat on is not so much about the match, although the match was nice against West Ham versus Swansea City. But the thing that West Ham has turned into a bit of my guilty pleasure. They're doing it with a combination of trickery, speed, and power. And you look at Enner Valencia, Sacco, and now Andy Carroll. It has hints of the long ball game, especially when Carroll was in this week. But when they signed Enner Valencia, I was like, does he know how West Ham plays? He's not going to fit in there. But it almost seems like he's helped change the gears over there. And Sam Allardyce is now. He's not as medieval as Mourinho wanted to say he was last year. I think West Ham is exciting to watch. I think the table is flattering them a bit, their position. But I think that they're a team that I check who they're playing and I'm like, I'm gonna tune into the West Ham game. Just I don't know what it is. I don't particularly like Sam Allardyce. I don't particularly like any of the players on the squad. But Downing, Valencia, and Sacco, they really caught me. And then this week, Carroll, probably the best header of the ball in the game, maybe besides Crouch. It was a fun match to watch. I enjoyed it. I wholly enjoyed it. Getting a little parched. Excuse me. So I went that's about like 18, 19 minutes. I'm not going to bore you. I think you might be bored of hearing my voice. I'm not going to bore you about the games that are coming up this weekend. Go on Google and look them up. I'm sure you can find some exciting things to talk about amongst your peers. But hopefully Dave and I will be back next week. Hopefully his finals end this week. And it's the end of the year, so my work is kind of slowing down. Maybe. We'll see. But anyway, folks, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching. If you did happen to watch this week, I got a video of me and my work attire in my half-finished office. Appreciate it very much if you are still listening after all this in and out of not being consistent every week. For more, because we have 2 other podcasts on our network now. We have Carefree Blues, if you are a Chelsea fan. It's fully dedicated to Chelsea. My ears bleed every time I listen to it because I just want to make sure it's on my network and I want to make sure it's not awful. And it's not awful. It's good if you're a Chelsea fan. Otherwise, your ears will bleed like mine. And we have Homegrown, which is with myself and Jay, a.k.a. Rescinded Red, where we talk about domestic soccer here in the United States. Both we talk a lot of MLS, but we've been talking about some of the other leagues, and as well as college, which is one of Jay's fortes. So if those things interest you, check them out. SoccerYanks.com. You can find me on Twitter, SoccerYankDan. And if you would like to send me hate mail, SoccerYanks@gmail.com. That email also serves for Dave's hate mail. And that's it, folks. Good night.